The eve of our intended union arrived, cloaked in the bitter taste of deception. Justin, the man I had loved for 3 years while he masqueraded in fabricated poverty, presented me with a trinket, a faux diamond ring plucked from the dollar store's bargain bin, yet in the same breath, he bestowed upon Ashley, the gravely ill sister he'd taken under his wing, a sprawling oceanfront estate worth 30 million, nestled along the coast and purchased outright. I refused the ring. His eyes, sharp and cold as shards of ice, accused me before the words even left his lips. I thought you loved me for who I am, not my money, he said, voice dripping with manufactured hurt. This was your final test and you failed utterly. A dry, humorless laugh escaped me. I tore the marriage application to shreds that very night. He whisked Ashley away to her seaside palace. 3 years drifted by like smoke. Then, at an elite gala shimmering with false glamour, our paths crossed again. He stood triumphant, a rising titan of industry, while I moved through the crowd balancing a tray, the only server in uniform amid a sea of couture and conceit. He intercepted me with a smirk. Grace, he purred, regrets now? Had you passed my little test, you'd be draped in haute couture at my side. Instead, you can't even manage a tray. I offered no reply. My true employer, the reclusive heir to the Blackwood Empire, a man whispered about but seldom seen, was already striding toward me, concern etching his features. Darling, he murmured, his voice both gentle and firm, how many times must I remind you? Waddling around with our child, 6 months along, no less, is hardly wise. What if you stumble? Through the glitter and noise, I continued my path, tray in hand. My pregnancy, though not yet obvious, made each movement a careful negotiation. And then, from the periphery, a shadow fell, a silhouette I knew all too well. Justin, what was he doing here? Before I could react, someone bumped into me. The tray lost its balance, and champagne spilled directly onto a socialite's gown. She looked down at the prominent wine stain on her dress, her eyes filled with rage. What's wrong with you, server? Where are your eyes? Do you know how much this dress costs? Get your manager over here immediately. Before I could speak, Ashley, the instigator, stepped forward, wiping the socialite gown with a handkerchief, her posture humble. Mrs. Taylor, please don't be angry. It's all my fault for not standing steady. It has nothing to do with the server. Her words sounded like she was helping me, but she cleverly drew everyone's attention to me. The socialite impatiently pushed her away. I don't care whose fault it is. I demand an explanation for this today. Fire her immediately, and I want her blacklisted from the entire hotel industry in Coastal City. Her voice was loud, instantly drawing all eyes in the banquet hall to us. At that moment, Justin casually turned his head. Our gazes met. A look of surprise flashed across his face. Grace, his voice was loud, deliberately letting everyone around hear him. I can't believe you've ended up like this. Seeing Justin's less than favorable attitude toward me, the socialite pointed directly at my nose and said to the rushing manager, what are you waiting for? Get her out of here. How did someone who can't even hold a plate steady get into an event like this? I avoided her pointing hand. My voice calm. Ma'am, I didn't spill the wine, but it is true that your gown was stained. Our hotel will fully cover the related cleaning and compensation costs. She sneered, full of disdain. Compensation from you? She gestured to the surroundings. Do you know where this is? The value of any single decoration here is beyond what a low-wage worker like you could imagine. Stop talking nonsense at a high-class gala like this. Every detail matters for reputation. You've already disgraced the hotel with that. She signaled for security to escort me away. Forget it. Justin, who had walked to the main guest table, suddenly stopped. He walked over expressionlessly, his eyes filled with condescension. I'll pay for the compensation on your behalf, and don't use such clumsy methods to get my attention in the future. It's cheap. I have no interest in you anymore. Ashley immediately clung to his arm, her smile Soft Grace, we're getting engaged. I know you held a grudge back then, but you can't force love. I hope you can live with some dignity. Hearing engagement, Justin's 5 years of suppressed anger flared up. Everyone. Justin turned to the surrounding guests. Allow me to introduce you to my ex-girlfriend. I lowered my head, wanting to leave, but he grabbed my wrist forcefully. People around us began to whisper, all eyes fixed on me. She was with me for 3 years, and just because the engagement ring I gave her was a dollar store fake diamond ring. Justin's voice grew louder. Then she thought I was poor and couldn't afford a diamond ring, so she refused to marry me. I tried to pull my hand away, but he held on even tighter. I was speechless. For a moment all these years had passed, and he still believed I broke up with him because of that fake ring. That year, he had tearfully pleaded poverty to me, claiming all his money was sent to his gravely ill sister in the countryside. Yet, he turned around and bought Ashley a $30 million oceanfront mansion in Coastal City, fully paid. I broke up with him simply because I no longer wanted to participate in his pathetic charade. The most ironic part was that I still held on to a last shred of hope for him. It wasn't until Ashley sent me intimate photos of her and Justin in that mansion that I truly sobered up. Didn't he know the truth himself? I thought she'd live so much better after leaving me, but look at her now. He looked around. Still here, serving plates and can't even steady one. Seeing this, Ashley immediately gently comforted him. Justin, she did graduate from an elite university. She has hands and feet. Finding a decent job to support herself isn't difficult. Her ending up here serving plates is entirely due to her narrow-mindedness and lack of ambition. Actually, you could tell even back then she clearly had the ability to live better, but she insisted on fixating on that ring, which shows she's both materialistic and short-sighted. Her tone shifted. Actually, Grace's situation now is quite difficult, she continued to feign kindness. My brother is outspoken, but he's also doing it for your own good, hoping you'll understand that a person shouldn't be too materialistic. Justin put his arm around Ashley, his voice louder. Regretted if you had passed my test back then, you'd be standing beside me in Hope Couture. He pointed at my uniform. Instead of being here, a server barely earning minimum wage. The baby in my womb seemed to sense my emotions and gave a gentle kick. I touched my belly and my mood instantly calmed. I watched their performance expressionlessly, then turned to leave. Justin grabbed my wrist, his grip tight. What's with the pretense? Did I hit a nerve? Are you embarrassed, Justin? I looked at him. Calmly let go. Not only did he not release me, but he tightened his grip. What? Scared now? You were so arrogant back then. Aren't you still going to bow your head? Ashley added fuel to the fire. Grace, stop pretending to be strong. My brother is worth hundreds of millions now. It's normal for you to regret it. With that, Justin took a ring from his pocket, the very same dollar store fake from back then. The plastic sheen of the ring immediately revealed its poor quality. He threw the ring heavily at my feet. Pick it up. Apologize to me, and maybe I can arrange an easier job for you. Ashley immediately put on a worried expression, squeezing out a few tears. Brother, don't force her like this. She'll hate you. Her voice was filled with concern, as if she genuinely cared about me. The hotel manager rushed over upon hearing the commotion. Seeing the scene, he didn't even ask for the full story, immediately scolding me. What are you doing? Apologized to Mr. Miller. Now his voice drew more onlookers. I was surrounded in the center. A slight ping of pain shot through my abdomen. I instinctively protected my belly with my free hand, my face turning pale. The whispers around me grew louder. Serves her right, that's what gold diggers get now. She knows to regret it. I ignored the chatter around me, wanting to resolve the situation quickly. I looked at him and spoke. Justin, I'm living very well now, and I never want to have anything to do with you again. Rest assured. I tried to pull my arm back, but he held on even tighter. Didn't you say it yourself? If the test fails, don't come crying for a reunion. I've always remembered that. He narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing me to make him completely stop this pointless entanglement. I added, I'm already married. My husband is very possessive, and if he sees us pulling and tugging like this, it won't be good for anyone. Justin's face instantly turned ashen. He pointed at me. You dared to get married behind my back, you Grace, for money? You actually debased yourself to another man? His eyes were filled with disbelief. Justin completely lost control of his emotions, yelling loudly, how could you marry someone else? I told you that was my final test for you. You didn't pass the test, so what if you endured a little grievance? His voice echoed through the entire banquet hall, drawing more curious glances. I just wanted to find someone who genuinely loved me, not my money. Ashley immediately chimed in, tears flowing freely, crying as if her heart was broken. Yes, my brother just wanted to find a pure and loving partner. How much he secretly sacrificed to prepare that surprise for you. Her voice choked as if she were speaking up for Justin. Grace, how could you misunderstand my brother's painstaking efforts like that? I felt the warmth of Alexander's palm and an unprecedented sense of security surge within me. I sneered, finally speaking. A test, Justin, when you bought that 30 million mansion in Coastal City, why didn't you think about testing me then? As soon as my words fell, the entire hall erupted in murmurs. All eyes turned to Ashley, filled with scrutiny and doubt. Justin froze. He why hadn't expected me to reveal this publicly. Then he became enraged and humiliated, his voice growing sharper. My sister was sick. Her only wish was to have a mansion with an ocean view. His face flushed crimson, veins bulging. You're actually nitpicking about that? How can your heart be so malicious? I didn't bother to argue further and turned towards the lounge. At that moment, a strong wave of nausea surged up my throat. I instinctively covered my mouth. My steps faltered and my face instantly turned deathly pale. Ashley's eyes gleamed when she saw this. She took a step forward, and when no one was looking, she suddenly pushed me. Grace, are you crazy? Trying to fake a fall in front of so many people? I was pushed by Ashley and crashed into the serving cart. The cups and plates on the cart clattered to the floor. Fortunately, my reflex made me protect my belly in time. The socialite screamed and recoiled in fright. Just then, an icy voice came from behind the crowd. Who gave you the nerve to touch my wife? The voice was not loud, but every word clearly reached everyone present. The entire hall instantly fell silent. Even breathing could be heard clearly. Alexander parted the crowd and walked over, his face terrifyingly dark. He walked directly to my side and took off his suit jacket. His movements were very light and slow, as if afraid of hurting me. Then he put his arm around me, his palm carefully shielding my pregnant belly. I felt the warmth of his hand and the slight trembling of his body. He met Justin's shocked gaze and said, word by word, my wife is not feeling well. Everyone, that's enough. The moment Alexander finished speaking, the entire banquet hall fell into an eerie silence. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the man who had suddenly appeared. Some even secretly pulled out their phones to take pictures, but a single look from Alexander's bodyguard scared them into putting them away. Justin's face was filled with disbelief. He stared intently at Alexander. Alexander? Someone whispered in surprise. Oh my goodness, is that Alexander from Blackwood Group? The mysterious heir who was rumored never to show his face. My God, how did he end up here? Wait. What did he just say? Wife whispers spread through the crowd. Mrs. Taylor, who had been yelling moments ago, instantly turned deathly pale. She trembled, trying to retreat, but was blocked by the crowd behind her. At this moment, she no longer had any of her previous arrogance. She was barely able to stand. The hotel manager was even more terrified, his legs weak. He quickly stepped forward to apologize. Mr. Blackwood, I'm truly sorry. We didn't know this was your wife. We. His voice stammered and large beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. As the manager of Coastal City's top hotel, he naturally knew what Alexander represented. He was someone who could shake the entire business world of Coastal City with a single word. Alexander completely ignored him, his gaze sweeping across the entire hall. Finally, his eyes settled on Ashley, who pushed her just now. His voice was calm, but everyone present could feel the killing intent contained within it. Ashley was terrified, her face ashen, and she instinctively hid behind Justin. Her body trembled uncontrollably. She couldn't even stand still. Justin forced himself to speak up for her. Mr. Blackwood, there's a misunderstanding here. Ashley didn't do it on purpose. He was cut off by a single look from Alexander before he could finish speaking. Just then, I felt a sharp, intense pain in my abdomen. The pain was much stronger than before, causing me to let out a low groan. Alexander immediately noticed my abnormality, and his expression instantly turned to panic. Darling, what's wrong? His voice carried a panic I had never heard before. I wanted to speak, but the pain prevented me from forming a complete sentence. Alexander, without a word, scooped me up into his arms. Call in ambulance now. His voice echoed through the entire banquet hall, carrying in undeniable authority. Everyone was aroused by his presence. Just then, Justin suddenly rushed forward like a madman. Grace, you can't be with anyone else. You can only be mine. His eyes were filled with madness, and he reached out, trying to grab my arm. Alexander's gaze instantly turned fierce. He kicked Justin in the chest. Justin was sent flying backward, landing heavily on the ground, blood oozing from the corner of his mouth. A collective gasp went through the entire hall. Dare to lay a finger on my wife and I'll make your entire Miller family disappear from Coastal City. Justin lay on the ground, completely stunned. The sound of an ambulance approached from afar, and I gradually lost consciousness in Alexander's arms. In the hospital, the smell of disinfectant permeated the air. I lay on the hospital bed, the abdominal pain having subsided significantly. Alexander sat by the bed, his eyes filled with heartache. It's all my fault for letting you deal with those people alone. I could feel the warmth of his hand and its slight trembling. It's okay, the doctor said the baby is fine. I gently stroked the back of his hand, trying to comfort him. Alexander's eyes were a little red and he leaned down to gently kiss my forehead. I will never let you suffer such humiliation again. Just then, arguing sounds came from outside the door. Justin and Ashley had actually found their way to the hospital. They were stopped outside by bodyguards and Justin screamed hysterically, Grace, come out, we're not done talking. Ashley's voice also came through. Grace, don't hide from us. Alexander's face instantly darkened like the sky before a storm. He slowly stood up and adjusted his clothes. Then he walked to the door and coldly looked at Justin, still dare to come? Justin's legs went weak when he saw Alexander. But he still tried to act tough. Mr. Blackwood, Grace is my ex-girlfriend. And I have the right to see her. Ex-girlfriend, Alexander sneered, pulling out a marriage certificate from his pocket. The red certificate looked particularly dazzling under the lights. Look closely, she's my wife and she has been for 3 years. These words struck Justin like a bolt from the blue. He froze completely, his eyes widened like saucers and his mouth was agape wide enough to fit in egg. No, impossible. I slowly sat up from the hospital bed, looking at the shocked Justin outside the door. Yes. We've been married for 3 years. Justin's face turned paler than white paper. His body swayed as if he might collapse at any moment. Ashley looked at me in disbelief. Impossible. How could you marry Alexander? 3 years ago, you were just a poor student. Her voice was as sharp as a cat whose tail had been stepped on. I chuckled lightly. A poor student? I was a top student from Stanton University's finance major, and I joined Blackwood Group right after graduation. Alexander added, my wife is our company's youngest investment director with an annual salary of tens of millions. Her working as a server at the hotel was just for experience. These words struck Justin like lightning. His face was filled with disbelief. So, your so-called test was just a joke to me? I stood up and walked to the door, looking down at Justin, a man worth hundreds of millions, testing his girlfriend with a dollar store fake diamond ring. Justin, do you think that's noble? Justin collapsed onto the floor, his lips trembling, unable to speak. Ashley, sensing trouble, immediately changed her expression. Her eyes darted around quickly and her face instantly switched from panic to grievance. Grace, since you're living so well, why did you keep it from us back then? Her voice trembled, and she even squeezed out a few tears. We thought you weren't doing well and felt so guilty. I sneered. This woman's acting was truly masterful. Guilty? My voice was laced. Why? Sarcasm. Were you feeling guilty in that 30 million mansion? Ashley's face instantly turned crimson. She stammered, unable to speak, her eyes starting to dart away. Alexander took out a tablet from his suit pocket. The screen displayed a detailed investigation report. Justin, there are many unsavory aspects to your company's development over the past 3 years. His voice was terrifyingly calm. Tax evasion, commercial bribery, defrauding investors. Justin's face completely changed from pale. It turned purplish blue, as if someone had choked him. You were investigating me? His voice was filled with fear. Alexander said indifferently, my wife's ex-boyfriend. Of course, I had to look into him. It turns out, you scumbag, you don't deserve to stand in front of her and your gravely ill sister. Alexander's gaze shifted to Ashley, his eyes filled with a cold light. Ashley, what's your true identity? His voice grew colder and colder. Do you think I can't find out? Ashley's face was ashen, her body starting to tremble. Her disguise was finally starting to crumble. I took the tablet from Alexander, seeing the information on it. My eyes widened in shock. Ashley, you're actually a silent partner in Justin's company. My voice was filled with disbelief. And you hold a 30% stake? Ashley could no longer keep up her pretense. Her expression instantly turned ferocious. So what? Justin and I are truly in love. We are business partners and lovers. Her words shocked Justin. He stared wide-eyed at Ashley. You used me? That mansion, all that money, you were doing it for? Ashley sneered. Her mask was completely torn off. Justin, did you really think I'd fall in love with a fool like you? I wanted your money, your company. Justin Collapsed onto the floor for 3 years. He thought he was testing me, but he didn't realize he was the fool being played. Seeing that her scheme had been exposed, Ashley decided to show her true colors. Her expression turned ferocious. Losing all her previous gentle pretense. Justin, do you think you're clever? Testing women with a fake ring. Ashley's voice was full of mockery, every word like a stab to his heart. Grace didn't want you because she has good taste, and I seduced you purely because you had money to be exploited. Justin's face turned even paler, and he looked at Ashley in disbelief. How could you do this to me? I was so good to you. I gave you everything. Ashley sneered. Give me everything you gave me was what I deserved. Did you really think I'd fall in love with a fool like you? From the very beginning, I seduced you for your money. Alexander watched everything with cold eyes, then signaled to his bodyguards, take them away and hand them over to the police. His voice was terrifyingly calm. Justin is suspected of commercial fraud, and Ashley is suspected of fraud and money laundering. The bodyguards immediately stepped forward and apprehended the two. Justin struggled desperately, crying out to me, Grace, I was wrong. I truly love you. His voice echoed in the empty corridor. That test back then, I was foolish. Please save me. I walked to Justin, looking down at him. Justin, do you know what karma is? 3 years ago, you humiliated me with a fake ring, forcing me to bow down before you. Now you're kneeling before me, begging for mercy. Justin's body trembled even more violently. Grace, I really know I was wrong, and I took a check from my bag. This is 10 times the value of that dollar store ring you gave me back. Then I tore the check into pieces and scattered them over him. The paper fragments floated down like snowflakes, some sticking to his hair. This is my final act of mercy towards you. As Ashley was being led away, she was still screaming hysterically. Grace, do you think you've won? You're nothing but damaged goods. Alexander is just looking for something new. Her words stung me, even though I knew she was speaking nonsense. Those malicious words still pierced me like needles. Alexander immediately sensed my change in mood. He gently stroked my back. Don't listen to her nonsense. You are my only one. From the first time I met you 3 years ago, I knew you were the person I was looking for. I leaned on his shoulder, feeling the warmth of his body. Alexander, let's go home. Yes, let's go home. The police quickly arrived at the hospital. They acted swiftly, taking Justin and Ashley into custody. As Justin was being led away, he kept looking back at me. His eyes were filled with regret, his mouth opening and closing as if to say something, but the police stopped him. The pleading in his eyes reminded me of 3 years ago. Only then I would have softened my heart for him. Now I only felt pathetic. Alexander put his arm around me and said softly, Grace, for the past 3 years, I've been waiting for you to tell me about Justin yourself. His voice was very soft, as if afraid of startling me. I knew he had hurt you, but I wanted you to move on your own. I looked up at him, a wave of warmth surging through me. He knew everything. After all, I thought I had moved on. I leaned into his embrace, tears flowing uncontrollably, but seeing him today, those humiliating memories came flooding back. The pain that had been buried deep in my heart was like a wound torn open, exposed, and bleeding in the open air. Alexander gently stroked my hair. Now everything is over. His palm was warm, carrying a faint scent of mint. From now on, no one will ever be able to hurt you again. The next day, major media outlets in Coastal City reported on Justin's company scandal, tax evasion, commercial bribery, defrauding investors. Various charges snowballed onto him. Justin's company stock immediately plunged to its limit, declaring bankruptcy. The man who once boasted of being worth hundreds of millions to me became a prisoner. Overnight I watched the news at home. A mix of emotions in my heart. On TV, Justin was handcuffed, his head bowed as he walked into court. His suit was wrinkled and his hair was disheveled. There was no trace of his arrogance from the gala yesterday. Alexander embraced me from behind, his chin resting gently on my shoulder. Regret it? I shook my head. No regrets? He brought it upon himself. This was the end he deserved. 3 years ago, he chose betrayal and deception. Now he was simply facing the consequences. The phone suddenly rang, its jarring sound echoing in the living room. I looked at the caller ID. It was an unknown number. I answered the call, and Justin's voice came through the receiver. Grace, I know I was wrong. I can give you all my assets. Please forgive me, save me. His voice grew more urgent. I really know I was wrong. Everything back then was my fault. I shouldn't have humiliated you with that fake ring. Shouldn't have made you suffer. Please, for the sake of our 3 years together, help me. 3 years ago, on that very night, I had cried and begged him like this. Begged him not to leave, begged him to give us a chance. But he turned around and went to the mansion to be with Ashley. I said calmly, Justin, 3 years ago, you said this was your final test for me. Now, I want to say this is fate's test for you. Unfortunately, you failed. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end, then Justin's broken sobs. Grace, please, I really know I was wrong. I didn't listen any further. After hanging up, I blocked the number. Alexander walked over and held me in his arms. From now on, it's just us and the baby. 3 months later, coastal cities. Autumn was exceptionally cool. I sat in the living room watching the news. Justin has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for multiple economic crimes, including tax evasion, commercial bribery, and defrauding investors. His accomplice, Ashley, as the principal offender, has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. On the television screen, Justin was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. His hair had significantly grayed and he looked haggard. I touched my 8-month pregnant belly, feeling no ripple in my heart. This was the outcome they deserved. Alexander came out of the kitchen carrying a nutrient-rich smoothie he personally prepared. Nutritious meals for me every day. The verdict is out. He sat beside me handing me the smoothie. Yes, Justin 10 years, Ashley 15 years. I took the smoothie, its warm aroma filling my nose. Alexander gently stroked my belly. From now on, no one will bother us again. The next evening, Alexander and I took a walk in the community. This had become our daily routine. He always patiently matched my slow pace, one hand firmly supporting my waist as we passed the hotel where the conflict had occurred. Alexander suddenly stopped. Do you remember that night? I nodded. I remember every detail of that night. I remembered clearly. If Alexander hadn't appeared in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Actually, I arrived early and was observing from the shadows. Alexander confessed suddenly, his expression somewhat complex. I wanted to see how you would handle it. When I saw you being bullied, I almost couldn't stop myself from rushing out. I stopped and looked at him, feeling a little angry. You just watched me being humiliated. My voice carried a hint of dissatisfaction, although the outcome was good. Thinking about the situation at the time still made me feel a bit wronged. Alexander quickly explained, I wanted you to know that no matter when or where, I would protect you, and I also wanted Justin to see what true strength looks like. All the humiliation he brought upon you over those years, I wanted him to repay tenfold. I looked at his serious expression, and my anger Gradually dissipated. It turned out he had arranged everything for me long ago. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at Teehee Hotel entrance. It was a hunched old woman dressed in plain black clothes. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. It was Justin's mother. She looked much older, her hair almost completely white. Grace, before I could react, she knelt down before me. Grace, please save my son. Her knees hit the ground heavily with a dull thud. I was startled by her actions and quickly tried to help her up. Alexander's face instantly darkened and he stepped forward, intending to pull her away, but I shook my head, signaling him not to interfere. Auntie, please get up. Quickly I squatted down, trying to help Justin's mother to her feet, but she shook her head, refusing to get up. Grace, I know Justin wronged you, but he's my only son. Her voice choked and tears streamed down her face. He's in prison now, regretting it every day. He said he was blind back then and shouldn't have treated you that way. I looked at this old woman who had once looked down on me 3 years ago. She always told Justin that I wasn't good enough for him. She said I came from a poor background with no connections. Now she was kneeling before me, begging for her son. Auntie, please get up first. I gently held her arm, trying to help her stand, but she shook her head, unwilling to rise. Grace, Auntie was wrong to you back then. It was Auntie's fault, but please, for the sake of our acquaintance, save Justin. He's still young. 10 years in prison will ruin his life. Auntie, Justin's situation is his own doing. I can't help him. Justin's mother's body began to tremble violently when she heard this. Grace, I beg you, I can kneel for you. I can be your servant as long as you save my son. Alexander could no longer bear to watch. He stepped forward, intending to pull her away. Enough, my wife is pregnant now. She can't handle this kind of stress. But Justin's mother seemed not to hear him, still clinging to me tightly. Grace, Auntie knows she was wrong, truly wrong. I was BLI back then. I shouldn't have treated you that way. If time could turn back, I would definitely treat you well. I quietly looked at her, my heart unmoved. Some mistakes are irreparable. Auntie, please get up, I said softly. Let the past be the past. Justin's mother looked at me, despair in her eyes. She realized that I would not change my mind. I gently freed my hand from her grip and stood up with Alexander's support. Auntie, please take care of yourself. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, Justin's mother's heart-wrenching sobs could be heard, but I did not look back. Some paths are chosen by themselves. Now, they must bear the consequences of their choices. 1 month later, I successfully gave birth to a healthy baby boy. In the delivery room, I heard the baby's loud cry, and at that moment, all the pain faded into insignificance. Alexander carefully took the baby from the nurse. He looks like you, he whispered, his eyes filled with tenderness and joy. I looked at the tiny life. The baby's eyes and brows indeed resembled mine, but the curve of his chin was like Alexander's. He has your chin. Alexander leaned down and kissed my forehead. You did great, darling. Just at that heartwarming moment, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Alexander frowned. Don't answer the phone now. Get some rest. But I had a feeling this call was unusual. I gestured for Alexander to place the baby in the nearby crib, then answered the phone. Ms. Grace, I'm Justin's lawyer. A strange man's voice came from the other end of the line. My heart clenched. Is something wrong? Justin, he committed suicide in prison last night. I froze. For a moment Alexander sensed something. Acutely he walked over and sat beside me, his eyes filled with concern. Miss Grace, are you still there? The lawyer asked on the phone. Yes, I'm listening. My voice remained calm. Justin left a letter. It's addressed to you. The Lawyer continued, he entrusted me to read it to you after his death. I hesitated for a moment and looked at Alexander. He gently squeezed my hand, signaling for me to decide for myself. Okay, please read it. I finally agreed. The lawyer cleared his throat and began to read the letter. Grace, I know it's too late for anything I say. I lost you in the most foolish way 3 years ago. I thought I was clever, believing I could test your true feelings with that absurd trial, but I was wrong, utterly wrong. You are so excellent, so wonderful, and yet I hurt you in the most despicable way. I've spent these past few months here, regretting every single day. I regret not cherishing you, not giving you the respect you deserved. I regret letting Ashley deceive me, and even more, I regret hurting you. Grace, if there's a next life, I hope to start over and love you properly. I hope that in the next life, I can be worthy of you and give you true happiness. After the lawyer finished reading the last sentence, silence fell on the other end of the line. These words came too late. Miss Grace, those are the words Justin wanted to say to you. The lawyer's voice was soft. I hung up the phone and placed my phone aside. Alexander asked me with concern, what's wrong? I shook my head. Nothing important, indeed. Nothing important. Justin's life and death no longer mattered to me. Alexander didn't press further. He simply held me gently, offering the warmest comfort. The baby in the crib made a soft cooing sound, a sound more comforting than any words. A month later, I learned from a friend that Ashley had a complete mental breakdown after hearing about Justin's suicide. In prison, she kept screaming Justin's name and uttering delirious words. She was eventually sent to a psychiatric hospital. Now, I sat in the living room, holding my sleeping son. Alexander walked out of the home office. He had just finished some company affairs. The little one is sleeping soundly, he whispered, careful not to wake the child. I nodded gently, stroking my son's small face. He was especially well behaved today. At dusk, our family of 3 walked by the ocean front. Alexander held my hand, his other hand pushing the stroller. Our son was sleeping soundly in the stroller, his little face flushed by the setting sun. The past is behind us, Alexander said softly. The future is just us. I squeezed his hand tightly, feeling the warmth of his palm. Yes, the past is behind us. Justin's death and Ashley's madness no longer concerned me. I had a new life, a new beginning. I had a loving husband and a healthy, adorable child. This was enough.